Hey movie fans, welcome to another episode of Movie Toast. I'm Drew Graber and this is the show where we celebrate movies one drink at a time. Now today I want to toast to sound design, so let's get the speed rolling. Cheers! Without sound design, movies would not be where they are today, nor would they be as popular. In fact, any visual storytelling medium would not exist the way it does today if it weren't for sound design.
Ooh.
But what is sound design? Sound design is the art of recording and mixing the sound in film. More specifically, sound design deals with sounds that cannot be created or used at the filming location, and generally need to be recreated in a studio via Foley or ADR.
You kidding? I am Queens Boulevard.
Bam! That is why you're a movie star.
ADR, also known as looping, stands for automated or automatic dialogue replacement, which is kind of funny because the process of ADR is neither automated nor automatic, but it is a grueling, long, and difficult process. Basically, an actor is brought into a studio after filming and asked to re-record a few lines for the film, generally because the sound from filming could not be used for some reason or another. But the difficult part is that the actor must match to the pre-recorded footage as closely as possible. Foley is something you might have already heard of, and this deals with literally every other sound in any movie. From footsteps and clothes rustling to explosions and lightsaber noises, Foley covers it all. It is also possibly one of the coolest and most fun jobs that exist within the film industry, where essentially Foley artists hang out in a room and mess with a bunch of junk and instruments and toys trying to find the right sound to match the visuals on the screen. Most of these sounds you hear in your favorite movies come from these incredibly talented, resourceful, and creative people. These are the people that bring your movie to life. Like most things in Hollywood, sound design is all about lying to you, making you believe that what you hear comes from what you see. Many of you might be surprised to hear that every single sound you hear in a movie, besides the dialogue, is recreated in a studio after filming, rather than when the camera is actually rolling.
Wow! 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 Wow!
Foley artists and sound designers spend hours on end building the atmospheric sounds from scratch, but they might not be creating them the way you think. It is all about what you perceptively believe the sound to be.
Wow! Look at this.
But what about sounds that don't technically exist? How can you record the sound of something imaginary or extinct? Well, you have to get creative and think of sound in a much more abstract way. Let's take Jurassic Park, for example.
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
Winning an Academy Award in 1993 for sound editing, sound designer Gary Rydstrom was tasked with recreating the sound of creatures that have been extinct for over 65 million years. The most memorable being that of the Tyrannosaurus Rex. In fact, this roar has become one of the most iconic sounds in cinema history. But how did he make such a sound? With not much evidence as to what these creatures might sound like, Rydstrom was given a very difficult task. A T-Rex roar could have been the sound of a rooster or something even more terrifying. But since the dinosaurs played a very critical role in the movie, Steven Spielberg needed them to sound realistic and terrifying. Unsurprisingly, a lot of the sounds you hear the dinosaurs make in the film are sounds from different animals blended together. The Brachiosaurus is a mix of swan and geese calls. The Velociraptor is a mix of a dolphin and a walrus. But what about the T-Rex? What sounds would make up one of the largest and most feared land predators of all time? And the winner is... Gary Rydstrom's Jack Russell Terrier, Buster. No, I'm not kidding. A lot of the key noises are actually slowed down recordings of just a tiny dog playing with a chew toy. And Jurassic Park isn't even the only film that featured Rydstrom's dog, as he also featured as a few sounds in James Cameron's 1991 film, The Terminator 2.
Stay here. I'll be back.
Buster, however, is not the source of the title or roar. That credit goes to a baby elephant, which was slowed down and mixed with a few other animals such as an alligator to get that unforgettable and frightening roar. This abstract and out-of-the-box thinking is what won Rydstrom the Oscar, and by using sounds from actual animals, made it that much more believable. Or what about the lightsaber? Who do we have to thank for creating the sound of one of the most iconic sci-fi weapons in history? His name is Ben Burtt, who is often thought of as the godfather to modern sound design, helming some of the most iconic sounds in cinematic history, a lot of them from the Star Wars saga. The lightsaber's hum is actually the combination of an old projector and a television set that responded to the frequency of the TV creating a hum. Mix these two together and you get the sound of a lightsaber. But what about creating sounds for a digital world? There is no real physical place that actually represents the atmosphere, and the audio has to be completely built from the ground up. Luckily for us, there is a 20-minute mini-doc about the sound design for Disney Pixar's WALL-E, and after this video, I highly recommend you watch it. There's a link for it down in the description. WALL-E is a futuristic sci-fi film, the world being mostly run by robots, and doesn't have a lot of real-world references to go off of, which is why we once again turn to Ben Burtt, the sound designer from Star Wars, who is happy to take on the challenge of creating this new world from scratch with sound. One particular sound he talks about is the laser weapon Eve has on her arms. Using a similar technique as the one used for the guns in Star Wars, a taut aluminum sleeky struck at different lengths creates this warp sound we now associate with that of laser weapons in any sci-fi film. However, the sound originated from the 1953 version of The War of the Worlds, where the sound designers struck the steel cables of an antenna tower with a hammer. But what really makes WALL-E unique is that the sound designers are the voices of many of the robot characters in this film, with a lot of WALL-E's lines being the voice of Bert himself.
WALL-E. WALL-E.
The sound designers would synthesize the different tones and sounds to make the voices seem more synthetic and robotic, but fitting to the robot character.
Directivo.
This required the sound designers to be brought on early in the film's production process so that they had enough time to create the character's personality to the director's vision, whereas usually sound designers don't come along until post-production. Sound design has become a critical and irreplaceable part of the movie-going experience, and is something that while it isn't supposed to be focused on or noticed while watching the film, it is certainly something to be appreciated and celebrated off-screen. Hey everyone, I hope you liked this video. If you have an idea on what movie or movie topic I could talk about next, let me know in the comment section down below, or you can follow me on Twitter at @TheMovieToes. Thanks for watching everyone, and don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you next time. Cheers!